Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're opening up a stack of material you sent over. It's all centered on a skill that's, well, absolutely fundamental to feeling good and building healthy connections.
Yeah, it looks like we've got excerpts here from something called Lifelines by Suprematic, specifically their module Learning to Say No, Boundaries 101, and some other related notes too.
That's right. And the core topic that just, jumps out immediately from all this material is that crucial practice of setting boundaries.
Exactly. It's right there in the title.
So our mission in this deep dive is to really unpack these sources. We want to understand what boundaries actually are, why they're not just important, but truly essential, and explore the very real reasons why saying no feels so darn hard sometimes.
Yeah, it really can be.
And then dig into the practical strategies the material offers for building this skill. And also, how to navigate challenges like that inevitable guilt that can pop up. Ready to dive in?
Let's do it.
Okay, let's unpack this. Starting with the basics, according to the material here, what exactly are we talking about when we say boundaries?
Well, the sources frame boundaries pretty clearly. They're basically the limits you define for yourself. They're about how others can treat you, sure, but also how much of your time, energy, and emotional space you're willing to give.
So it's not just a physical thing then, like someone standing too close. The material talks about emotional, mental, and even spiritual boundaries too.
Absolutely. Think of them as these sort of invisible lines you draw. They protect your inner world, but also your external capacity, what you can actually handle.
Right.
And the sources really don't pull any punches on why they matter. They present boundaries as, well, essential for maintaining your sense of self, protecting your energy, and making sure your own fundamental needs aren't just getting lost in the shuffle.
It sounds like they're basically the key to not constantly feeling drained.
Yeah.
Or like you're losing yourself in everybody else's demands.
Precisely. They prevent that feeling of being completely overextended. And what's fascinating here is that the material really emphasizes this isn't just good for you. It's actually crucial for building healthy relationships.
Oh, interesting. How so?
Well, across the board with loved ones, colleagues, and maybe most importantly with yourself. It helps foster mutual respect because everyone kind of understands the expectations and the limits.
That makes so much sense. It sort of creates a clearer playing field in a way. The sources then really double down on the specific benefits. What stands out to you from their list? What do they really hammer home?
One major theme is definitely protecting mental health. Setting boundaries is highlighted again and again as a primary way to prevent burnout and emotional exhaustion. The material even calls it, quite powerfully, I thought, protecting your peace.
Protecting your peace. I like that. That really elevates it beyond just, a polite refusal or something.
It does, doesn't it? And tied closely to that is self-respect. The sources argue that by setting limits, you're signaling to yourself and to others that your needs actually have value. It's framed as a fundamental act of self-care and self-love, not selfishness.
Right. That reframe feels really key. Self-care, not selfish. And they also connected back to improving relationships, didn't they?
Yes.
Saying clear boundaries actually make relationships healthier.
Yeah, and more respectful in the long run.
Okay.
Because when people understand your limits, they can interact with you genuinely, rather than, potentially building resentment over unspoken expectations or needs.
Okay.
The material also points out other benefits like reducing resentment, avoiding that constant emotional fatigue, staying aligned with your personal values and goals, and boosting self-worth and confidence.
It's a pretty compelling case they're making. The overall picture the sources paint is that essentially, without boundaries, you risk being constantly overwhelmed, maybe feeling taken for granted.
That's it.
And maybe even disconnecting from what you truly need yourself.
It's the consequence, really, of ignoring those internal signals, those feelings that tell you when you're giving too much.
So for you listening, understanding these foundational ideas, what boundaries are, and the deep impact they have is, well, it seems like the non-negotiable first step before you can even start thinking about putting them into practice.
Absolutely fundamental. Now, this brings us to a really interesting point the sources grapple with. If boundaries are so clearly beneficial, why do so many of us find saying no just incredibly difficult?
Yes. Here's where it gets really interesting, I think, because the material dives into the common stumbling blocks head on. They point straight at feelings like guilt, the fear of rejection, or just that underlying worry about disappointing someone.
Yes, that fear of disappointing others seems huge. It comes up a lot. Not wanting to let down people you care about.
Right.
And the anxiety that saying no might lead to hurt feelings or, uncomfortable conflict.
That resonates with so many people, I bet. It just feels easier in the moment sometimes to say yes, doesn't it? Avoid the potential awkwardness.
Exactly. And related to that is what the sources call people-pleasing tendencies. This is that habit of automatically saying yes, often driven by this deep-seated desire to be liked or seen as helpful. But the consequence, as the material notes, is frequently overcommitment. And you end up neglecting your own essential needs.
Which often leads straight to the big one, guilt. The material talks about feeling selfish for setting boundaries.
Right.
Even while simultaneously stating that setting boundaries is self-care. It's a real internal conflict, isn't it?
It absolutely is. That tension between, the perception of selfishness and the reality of self-care is just central to this whole struggle. They also touch on the fear of missing out, FOMO, worrying that if you decline an invitation or an opportunity, you'll miss something important.
Yeah, FOMO is real. But the sources offer a pretty powerful counter perspective here, don't they? They suggest that saying no to things that don't align with your values or that drain your energy can actually create space for more meaningful, aligned opportunities.
That's a critical reframe. Definitely. And the material even provides a list. I think it was titled Signs You Need Stronger Boundaries, which almost serves as a checklist.
Oh, yeah.
Things like
Oh,
saying yes when your gut really says no, feeling guilty about putting yourself first, regularly feeling exhausted, irritable, or overwhelmed,
okay.
actively avoiding conflict even when something bothers you, and feeling overly responsible for managing other people's emotions.
Wow. Okay. As I hear that list, I imagine a lot of you listening might recognize yourselves in some of those points. These aren't just abstract concepts. These are the very real-world signs that show you might be grappling with these challenges of boundary setting right now.
Very practical indicators.
Okay, so we've established what boundaries are, why they matter, and why they can feel so hard to set sometimes. Now let's pivot to the practical side.
Yeah.
Based on the steps outlined in the material, how do we actually do this? They emphasize that this isn't about being difficult or rude.
Not at all. It's framed as an act of self-respect, communicated clearly. And the very first step they guide you through is identifying your limits.
Okay.
This means paying close attention to what drains you, what makes you feel overwhelmed, stressed, or anxious. You have to know these internal signals first.
So it starts with self-awareness, really. Tuning into how situations or requests actually make you feel inside.
Exactly.
Once you recognize that feeling, the material suggests the next piece is being clear and direct.
Yes, clear and direct. State your boundaries simply. The material really stresses that you don't need to over-explain or justify yourself endlessly.
Gotcha.
They give some good, concrete examples like, I'm sorry, but I can't take on this extra task right now. Simple.
Okay.
Or, I need some time to myself this weekend. Even a straightforward, no, I can't commit to that right now, is presented as perfectly acceptable.
Simple, direct, no elaborate excuses needed. And they highlight that, like any skill, saying no gets easier with practice.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Absolutely. That's a key point. The recommendation is definitely to start small. Pick a low-stakes situation first. Practice saying no there, and then gradually increase the difficulty as you build confidence.
Makes sense, like building a muscle.
Exactly. Each successful boundary you set makes the next one feel a little less daunting.
They also strongly advocate for using I statements, I noticed.
Yes. This is a powerful communication technique highlighted in the material. It helps you frame your boundary around your own needs and feelings, which feels much less accusatory than focusing on what the other person is doing or asking.
So instead of saying, like, you're always asking me for things.
Right. Instead of that, the sources suggest phrasing it like, I need to focus on my work right now, so I can't take on additional tasks. Or, another example they gave, I need some quiet time this weekend to recharge. It focuses on your need.
That really shifts the dynamic, doesn't it? It's about your capacity, your needs. And they explicitly state, don't over-apologize.
Correct. The material acknowledges that feeling a little uncomfortable when you first start is normal. It's okay. But a simple, I'm unable to help with that at the moment is sufficient. You don't owe anyone an apology for looking after yourself.
Good point. They do mention an optional step, too, offering alternatives.
Yes, but with a big caveat. Only if you genuinely want to and it actually feels appropriate for the situation.
So it's not like a requirement just because you said no?
No, absolutely not. The boundary itself is the complete response if that's what's needed. And the sources also provide some excellent, really tangible examples of healthy boundaries in action across different parts of life. which I found helpful.
Oh, yeah? Like what?
Things like simple work boundaries, I won't check emails after 7 p.m., clear limit,
Okay.
or in personal relationships, I'm not comfortable discussing that right now. Protecting your emotional space.
Right.
For managing your time, it could be something simple like, I can only commit to one social event this weekend. Or regarding emotional space, I need time alone to process this before we talk about it further.
Those examples are so helpful because they show exactly what these principles look like day to day. These are really concrete techniques you can start trying today, maybe just picking one small area to begin practicing.
Exactly. Start small, build from there. But, even with these techniques in hand, the sources acknowledge that those lingering feelings, the guilt, the fear, they can still surface, right?
Yeah.
So how do you navigate those internal hurdles even when you know what to do?
Yeah, this is where the material really digs into the mindset shifts that are needed. And one core tip is simply reminding yourself, maybe over and over, that your needs matter just as much as anyone else's. It sounds basic, but it feels pretty fundamental.
It really is, and crucial to that is reframing your thinking about saying no. The sources repeatedly emphasize seeing it as self-care, not selfish. It's what allows you to conserve your energy and capacity so you can actually show up fully for the things and people that genuinely matter most to you.
So it's not about saying no to everything. It's about saying yes to your own well-being so you can say yes meaningfully elsewhere. Is that kind of the idea?
That's exactly the idea, and understanding the true power of no is key here too. The material presents it not as a rejection of the person asking, but as a way to protect your most valuable resources, your time, your energy, your peace. When you say no to something that isn't a priority for you or feels draining, you are effectively saying yes to your own well-being.
That distinction feels really powerful. And the sources kind of boil it down to a very simple permission slip, don't they? Something like, give yourself permission.
Yeah, it seems almost too simple, but it's profound. The material really stresses that you are allowed to say no. You have inherent permission. You can prioritize your health, your happiness, your peace of mind. It's okay.
And they specifically tackle the guilt head on, too, stating that guilt is often just a feeling, a reaction, not actually a valid reason to abandon your own needs.
Exactly. And a critical point the sources make related to that is that saying no allows others the opportunity to take responsibility for their own feelings and situations.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, you are not solely responsible for managing everyone else's comfort or solving all their problems for them.
Okay, this next point from the material really struck me. It's perhaps one of the most impactful ideas in the entire stack we looked at.
Yeah.
You teach others how to treat you by the boundaries you enforce.
That single concept can fundamentally change your perspective, can't it?
Totally.
Setting boundaries isn't about being difficult. It's an active process. You're teaching others how to respect your limits, and by extension, you're respecting yourself in the process.
Wow. So these mindset shifts seem absolutely vital. They're what make boundary setting a sustainable practice, something that feels less like a constant struggle and more like, empowering self-respect for you.
Absolutely key.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the material on boundaries and saying no, the key takeaways really stand out clearly, don't they? Boundaries are absolutely fundamental. For your personal well-being, yes, but also for cultivating genuinely healthy, respectful relationships.
And that saying no isn't some negative act. It's actually a vital skill, a non-negotiable form of self-care that protects your most valuable resources: time, energy, peace.
And while the whole process can feel challenging sometimes, bringing up feelings of guilt or fear,
Yeah.
the sources offer practical, actionable steps for setting those limits. And just as importantly, crucial ways to reframe your thinking and give yourself permission to prioritize your needs.
And practice is truly the key, as we said. That's what makes it feel more natural over time.
Right.
Ultimately, this knowledge empowers you, listening right now, to step into a space where you can protect your energy, honor your needs, and build relationships based on that mutual respect we talked about.
And the material leaves us with a really resonant thought to carry forward, doesn't it? A simple truth that kind of underpins everything we've discussed today.
Yeah, what's that final quote?
You can't pour from an empty cup, and boundaries are how you keep it full.
Powerful.
Yeah. Something to really reflect on, I think, as you navigate your day.
Yeah.
How full is your cup right now?